Why am I always sitting on my floor? This video is gonna be a little different, and I'm kind of trying to make this video as a test video to see if you guys even like this type of video. Although my channel is 100% me, I still try to show a very neutral side of myself, but in this video I might show a more personal part of me, and that is, in all honesty, very scary. When I have been in serious doubt and questioning everything, this is something I do a lot, every day. I wish that I would have seen something like this. So, I'm making it now. My channel and my Instagram is all about health and fitness. That's even in my intro. I think it even says that in my bio. I don't like any of these angles. Oh well. Bear with me, okay? My channel is all about health and fitness, but what I feel like sometimes is being neglected is the mental aspect of things. Health is such a holistic point of view, and I'm not a psychologist or a psychiatrist or a mental health coach or anything like that. I have never had any illnesses or medications or anything like that. I do know that a lot of my followers have. Please be careful about my advice or anything if you need professional help. I'm not in any way trying to imply that I can fix anything, okay? Food has always been something that I liked, but it has taken me a long time to understand why I actually have chosen that path. It took me a very long time to understand what I was using food for. Obesity is very often just a byproduct of some deeper underlying issue. I'm something called an HSP. It stands for highly sensitive person. Doesn't mean that I'm sensitive in the way that I get offended easily, but it does mean that everything in my body is more sensitive than it might be for other people. An example of this is that my senses are very heightened at all times. It means that I can get very overwhelmed if there's too much stimulus around me, too much sound and light and smell and stuff. Also something called high performance. This is something that I recently understood and was told. It explains a lot of the stuff of my life. I think I've mentioned this in my previous videos where I can keep going and I don't know when to stop. Enough is never enough. I always had a very easy time in school and I just learned stuff very easy and very quick. It's kind of a segue, so bear with me. So naturally these traits made me feel like there was something wrong with me. I never felt like I belonged anywhere. I felt like I was never good enough. In fact, I was just the complete opposite, but to me, I did not belong, and I felt like no matter what I did, I could never be like somebody else. I would try to dumb myself down, I would pretend to be lazy just so I would fit in more. And since I just did not have an outlet or I didn't have an explanation, then I turned to food because what else was there to do? I just want to talk about stuff like this. Pilot episode to see if this does well or not. This is something that I wish I would have seen somebody talk about when I was like growing up and when I was losing weight and all these things, because when you're losing weight, this is the point I'm trying to make. When you're losing weight, you're confronting yourself. When you're dieting, when you're exercising, it's uncomfortable because you're confronting it. You're forced to deal with the things that you usually numb with food. I'm getting like goosebumps because I feel like this is like such a deep conversation. So today's topic will be how to deal with the fact when you feel like you're not good enough. The feeling of not being good enough comes from a very simple dynamic in its essence. It comes from many places, but it boils down to a very simple dynamic. You're doing what you feel like is your best, but it doesn't reach up to the standards or the goals that you or someone else has set. The feeling of not being good enough is often associated with weird correlations. I am not worthy of respect or attention or good grades or this job or whatever because I am not something. For me, it's very easy to not feel good enough or adequate when I really want something, regardless of what it is, and I don't get it. My first instinct for bad news is always that it's my fault because I'm not good enough, I didn't do well enough, or I didn't something enough, when in reality, you need to put things in perspective. Another source of not feeling good enough is when you're comparing yourself in a dysfunctional manner. You're not comparing apples to apples. You're not even comparing green apples to green apples. Instead of you're comparing like potatoes to toenail clippers. I mean, okay, that's a really horrible analogy. I'm telling you right now, you can only compare yourself with yourself, and that is it. Nothing else. You can't compare yourself to your mom or me or your significant other. The same water that hardens the egg softens the potato. And there's nothing wrong with that. You just have to understand it. Also, you cannot hate yourself into loving yourself. You can't live in an alternate time frame than right now. As long as you're doing the best that you can right now with what you have right now, there is absolutely no reason to think that you're not good enough, or that you don't deserve good things, or that things will never get better, or that you're not good enough for something. This is something that I struggle with every day. It's not that it's a quick fix. No, I still struggle with it. But instead of it taking me 4 days of this mentality and then getting over it, it might take me like 2 minutes. This is like any muscle. With practice, it gets better. I am, however, going to point out that there's a very big difference between feeling like you're not good enough and then wallowing in self-pity or just feeling sorry for yourself. Stopping the feeling of feeling sorry for yourself takes a lot of practice. And wallowing in self-pity is not good for anybody, ever. The thing is that you most definitely need to feel your feelings, because not feeling your feelings or trying to numb them or suffocate them, that is even worse. that's like even worse. Let your emotions and all of this to like control you. Observe your emotions like a little river, and then you just let them pass. They come and they go, and that's it. There's no need for feeling sorry for yourself. There's no need for feeling not good enough, because in your heart you know that you did the best you could at that moment, in this time, with the resources that you had. In the future, you might be able to do even better when a similar situation arises, because now you have some meat on your bones. You know what happened, you knew the consequences, you knew how you dealt with it. You're gonna remember these things, and then you're gonna put them into practice. Worst enemy of not feeling good enough is setting impossible goals, impossible standards that you are never going to reach, because maybe no one will ever be able to reach them. Of course you're gonna feel like you're not good enough. Then the second biggest culprit of this is relying on external validation for anything that you do. So if you complete tasks and perform just for the external validation and you don't get it, of course you're gonna feel horrible. You're like, oh, it wasn't even that good, that nobody noticed what I did. But the thing is, here is when I'm gonna turn a little cynical. You need to give yourself a damn pat on the back, because the only one who will ever be beside you for forever at all times in every part of this world is you, no one else. But again, it's not a bad thing. It just means that you have to put in a lot of effort to make yourself your own best friend. You need to be able to tell yourself what an amazing job you did today. Like, wow, good job on doing that one thing that you really didn't want to do, but you did. And in all honesty, I feel like that is the biggest life lesson ever learned. Whenever I'm feeling horrible, like I'm never good enough, or I'm never gonna reach the goals that I have set for myself, I just sit down and talk to myself like my own best friend. You just have to learn how to put things in perspective, to give yourself a damn pat on the back. Because chances are that people around you are gonna be too busy feeling inadequate and like they're not good enough to even notice the amazing things that you accomplish every day. I hope this video made sense, and I hope you got something out of it. These are things that I think about a lot every single day, and I sincerely hope that you might have gotten something out of it. Let me know in the comments below. Thank you again for watching my videos and sticking with my channel. Subscribe to this YouTube channel and go check out my Instagram, follow it, because it really does help me a lot more, and it really motivates me to put out more content. And I'll see you next week.